Hello everyone. Mm, Today we'll be learning about developing with Docker. All right. So in the previous tutorial, we learned about the basic Docker commands, right? So today we'll be learning about developing with Docker. Hmm? So you might have a doubt in your mind that what is developing with Docker? All right. You in the previous session, I might have mentioned about Dockerizing your own application, but then you might have not understood what is developing with Docker. All right. So to understand that now, you must just simply consider developing with Docker is just like your normal development. Okay. Just like a normal development, you have your backend and then various services. Okay. So what are your various services? You might have databases, you might have a caching system, you might have a mailing system. Okay, all this you might have. Okay, so database itself, you can have different type of database in a single application. You can have a SQL based database, or you can have even a no SQL based database, right? And then you will have Redis as your caching system. Okay, so you'll have various services, right? And when you are doing development, you want to just try out various services and you want to figure out which will be the best fit. All right. And um, if you install all of them locally, it's a tedious process. All right, you don't want to install everything just for the sake of trying out. All right, so to avoid all this sort of a tedious process, we use Docker. We develop with Docker. So in the previous tutorial, I showed you, MySQL image. We use MySQL image, right? So MySQL again is a service. So similarly, there is Mongo image, there is Redis image. Okay, all these services are available in the form of images, and we can use this, okay, via Docker, and we can develop, and we can, sort of check which is better for us, or in by setting up things very quickly. Okay, so everything happens very fast with Docker. Okay, so I feel you might have still not understood, so we'll just look at the final output once. Okay, before we just try developing things by ourselves, we'll sort of just look at the final output, what the final output looks like. All right, so this is what the final output looks like. Okay, so in my internship, I'm doing this. So I cannot show you the whole code base, so I've just taken a screenshot. So look, there are various services. All right, there is Mongo service, there is MySQL, then there is Redis. All right, and look, we are taking the Mongo image, then we are giving it the container name, and then we are doing port binding over here. All right, then this is MySQL service. All right, and then the environment, port binding, then again Redis. For Redis, we are doing the same thing again. All right, so all this now is being done inside a file. Okay, it's called the Docker Compose file. Okay, we are going to learn about Docker Compose also. So we don't do it in a command, in the CLI. We don't do it in the CLI because it is difficult to make changes over there. Okay, you might see people doing all this thing via CLI also. Okay, but then no, if you do some mistake, it is difficult to change that. Okay, so that's why we do it on a file. So we do it using Docker Compose. All right, so I will show that also, but for now just understand this is the final output. This is what you're going to write. Okay, you have various services, so you will sort of tell what services you need, and you will mention the environment variables, the image that you want to pull, the version, and all of that. Okay, and then this is the continuation of the same file. Okay, same code. So then you're building your backend. Okay, so backend, you're creating the container name backend app. Then again, you're doing port binding. Your backend will run at this port. Then mentioning the environment variables. Then you're saying this backend service depends on the other services like um Redis, MongoDB, MySQL. All right. And then finally, you're mentioning your volumes. Okay. Now, what are volumes? I had told you volumes are used for data persistence. When you want to save, or you want your some data that is being stored in some of your service which is inside your container, you want that to remain persistent. That time you use volume. Okay, so volumes are used for data persistence. We will implement this. Okay, we'll do it practically so you will understand better. All right, so upar say this is the final output. Okay, various services, then we are building our backend. Okay, and then also we are using our volumes, so we'll do this. Okay, so to get before we get started, I want you to clone this repo. All right, I have given the repo link in, I've shared it in the group, so I want you to clone this repo. Okay, so once you this is just a node application. Okay, this is just a node application, simple node application. I just want you to clone this, and then it'll open somewhat like this. Then what you need to do, you need to hit npm I. Okay, once you hit npm I, what will happen? Node modules will get installed. Okay, node modules will get installed, and only then can you start your server. Okay, so then how you'll start your server? You will hit this command, node server.js. Okay, when you hit node server.js, this will come server running on port 5050. All right, so let's just go what is there on 5050, localhost 5050. Okay, so this is what is running. All right, so now we will develop with Docker. All right, so this is your backend code. Okay, don't touch this only. Okay, don't touch this server.js file. Okay, close all this. So initially it will be looking this way. What you need to do is create a file. Okay, create a file in the root folder called compose.yaml. Okay, compose.yaml is your Docker Compose file. Okay, now why is Docker Compose used? Docker Compose is used to build your containers. Okay, build and manage your containers. All right, so right now we are developing with Docker, so we don't need a Docker file. Okay, so once we Dockerize our application, you will also see that there is a Docker file also here. Okay, that we'll do in the next tutorial. So it will build that Docker file, all of that it will be done. Okay, for now we are just developing with Docker. Okay, so when we are developing with Docker, we'll use the various services that are readily available for us. Okay, so in today's tutorial, what we'll be using is, one will be using Mongo image, and then we'll use another Mongo Express image. Okay, we'll be using these two images, and we'll be developing with Docker you for this node application. All right, so first what we need to do, we need to go to Docker Hub and we need to search Mongo. Okay, we'll search for Mongo image. Okay, we'll click on this. Okay, this is your Docker's official Mongo image. You'll scroll down. Okay, so then it is told how, it is telling us how to use this Mongo image via Docker Compose. Okay, so it is telling how your Docker Compose file should look like. All right, so we can just copy all this. Okay, we can copy all this and paste it here. Okay, we don't need this. Okay, so yeah, latest, and then we can give a container name also, and then we need to do port binding. Okay, so only if we do port binding will your whole application is going to work. All right, so we do port, and look on these ports. Okay, these ports are sort of all the HTTP requests work only on port 80. So similarly, MongoDB has its own port, MySQL has its own port. Okay, so this is the port on which MongoDB is going to work. So you need to write the same thing. All right, so under environment variables, look, copy this only, write Amit and password, because otherwise you will get error. Why? Now if you open your server.js, over here I have given connection string as Amit and password. Okay, so if you are making any change in the compose file, then make sure you change it over here also, in case you want to be you just want to try out. Okay, so you do this. Then what you need to do, then you have another service, right? You have Mongo Express service. So Mongo Express service, you will have ex mm, Express. So Okay, is this correct? What AI has given us? Container name, Amit port 8081, yes. Amit password, and okay, this we need URL. Okay, URL, and yes. So this is it. URL. We don't need depends on. Okay. This is correct. Amit password. Okay, yeah. So this is how you will write your compose file. Okay, so we are using only two services. One is Mongo and another is Mongo Express. Okay, under services, look, when you're writing your compose file, it's very important that you follow the right indentation. Now, what is indentation? Right amount of space. Okay, look, services, and then there is a small space, then Mongo, and this Mongo is being aligned with Mongo's Express. You see, all these are on the same line. Then image, then container, all these things are on the same line. As soon as I just take it this way, no, error. You see, all error. So you must see that you sort of give the right amount of space, or you indent it properly. Okay, even Python, I believe, yeah, Python also is like, you need to have the right indentation. Okay, so you see that you take care of all this when you are writing a Docker Compose file in future. All right, the right amount of space needs to be put. Okay, so but still I'll just explain this again. Okay, so that you don't get confused. You might feel, oh, you just built it so fast. Okay, so look, there are services. Okay, we have one Mongo service, we have one Mongo Express service. All right, then what we're doing in this Mongo service, we are telling that we need the image. Which image we need? Mongo image. And of which version? Latest version. Okay, then we are specifying the container name. We are telling Mongo container it should be named. Then what we are saying, we need port binding. We need to have port binding at this particular port. Then we are mentioning the environment variables. Okay, then what we are doing for Mongo Express, we have next service as Mongo Express. Then again we are specifying the image. Okay, we want the latest version of Mongo Express image. Then we are telling this is the container name that we want, and then we are doing again port binding. Okay, then we can access this port via the browser. Okay, then we are again specifying the this environment variables. All right, that is all that we have done. Now what we can do is we can just go to your this Docker desktop. Okay, first of all, start your Docker desktop. Okay, you cannot hit any Docker commands and expect it to work without your Docker desktop being on. Okay, so you start your Docker desktop, and then you open your command prompt or PowerShell. I'm using PowerShell, so okay, I open PowerShell. Then what you need to do? Then you need to go to the directory where your project is. Okay, so in this case it is on my desktop, and this is my project, this. Okay, intern spirit demo. All right, then what you need to do is, now there is a compose file. Okay, now you need to execute this compose file. Okay, so now if you hit ls, you will see that Docker compose file is in my root directory. Okay, your compose file must be in your root directory. I had mentioned, right, while creating it. So your compose file must be in your root directory, and you want to execute this compose file. So for the command for that is docker compose -f compose.yaml -d is to sort of run it in the background. So you are running this compose.yaml file. Okay, if the file's name was something else, like if it was docker compose file, then you would have written docker compose.yaml up-d. All right, and after that you hit enter. So once you hit enter, it will create. Okay, and then it has created. Now in my case, no, I had already created it once. Okay, so that's why it became so fast, because there is some built-in cache. Okay, in your case it might take some time. All right, and then your this container will be running. If you come and check on your Docker desktop, you will see that the container is running. Okay, is my video being recorded also? Okay, it's being recorded. Okay, now how do I take it down again? Technical issues. I don't know. Wait, we'll just put this down for now. Okay. Okay, chalo, let's come back. Okay. So, okay. So, let me continue. So, you will see after we hit that command, we have this container created, right? We have this container created, and you see the proper container names: Mongo Express container, Mongo container, all that custom container has a container name has been given. Okay, also we'll see the image that it has pulled, and also since we have done port binding, you will see we are able to access these ports. Okay, so now when we click on 8081, what will happen is our Mongo Express, this will open. Okay, now here, no, as I told you earlier, I had done this. Okay, I had done this, sort of created this container and everything. Hence, it didn't ask me for a authentication. It's sort of, one pop-up comes, okay, and it asks you for username and password. Okay, so in that case, no, username and password is always the same. Okay, it is not going to be this. It is not going to be this username and password what you gave over here. Okay, Amit and password. Okay, it is not going to be that. It is same for everyone. Okay, what is it? It's going to be username is admin and password is just pass. Okay, you need to enter that and this thing will open. All right, and then what you can do is after this thing has opened, you can create a database. Okay, create a database over here, intern spirit db. Okay, so you will see a database has been created. Then you click on view. Then you need to create a collection. I hope you guys already know collection because you have already watched the this, I mean, database lecture. I guess already you have watched it, so you guys know what is collection and all, right? So you will create a users collection. Then once you have created a users collection, you will see viewing collections users. All right, then what we can do is we can go to our front end, localhost 5050. Okay, so you can go to our front end and then we can register one user. Okay, this and password will give AAA. Okay, then click create account. Okay, so now when we go to this and we refresh, you will see that a user has been created. Okay, now similarly again, if you go and gmail.com, instead of 10 we can just take 200 220, and then this, and then password we can give 7007, and then we'll create. Okay, so when we create and we come back over here and then we reload it, you see a new user has been added. Just like your normal database, this is functioning. You observe that just like your normal database, this thing is functioning, right? Also note that you have to keep your server running. Don't expect this thing to run because automatically you're just using services. You're just using MongoDB and Mongo Express service. Okay, now all those things have to work are working because your server is running. Look, all this data inserted, everything is coming. See, so you make sure your server is running, server running on port 5050. And also see that when you're running on port 5050, you don't run something else also. Like I'm telling in the sense, your port 5050 should be free. It shouldn't be like some other project of yours is running at that port, and then it will not run. It will give you some error. Okay, because it has already been occupied, right? So that is what developing with Docker looks like. All right, so now suppose you are done. Okay, now you are okay, you have developed everything for today. Okay, you have finished everything today. Your office timings are done. Okay, you have finished all your tasks. Now the remaining work you can do tomorrow, so you need to shut your Docker container. Okay, now you want to put down the Docker container. Okay, so you can stop it and just go home like that also. But suppose you just put it down. Okay, put it down in the sense you delete all the containers. Okay, so how you will delete the containers? You created the container with this command: docker compose -f compose.yaml up -d. All right, so now similarly to put it down, you will just write down. Okay, docker compose -f compose.yaml down. Okay, you don't need this d and all. All right, and if you hit enter, what will happen is all these containers will be removed. Okay, if you come over here, it's gone. See, so it will be gone. Now if you go over here and reload it, so it's gone, you cannot access it, right? So now what we'll do is, imagine you have come back the next day. Okay, you have come back the next day, you have come back and now you want to start working. Okay, now so you do this docker compose .yaml up. Okay, so you want to create this container again, so you hit that and container is created and it has started. Okay, now if you go to your docker desktop, you will see all these containers have been created. All right, now if you go to this localhost and reload, mm, okay, so you will see this thing, your Mongo Express has opened. But at the same time, you will see one thing, database not found. Okay, that was because we were on the collections URL, right? Uh, Anyways, just look at this. Where is your database that you had created? It has gone. Okay, intern spirit DB has gone. It is not there. All right. So now imagine you had some data that you wanted. Okay, it was some important data, maybe it was some test data. You had to show it to your manager that okay, we have tested on this data, and you're supposed to show it, but now the data is gone. All right, so that will be a disaster. So now if you want the data to be persistent, what you will use? Volumes. Okay, you will use volumes. So how you'll use volumes? Okay, so where your data needs to be persistent? Inside the MongoDB, right? So we'll use volumes over here. It's a, so look properly where I'm writing over here. Indentation is very important. Okay, so volumes you will write. Okay, so under volumes, how it is, look, volumes ka syntax is like this. You need to provide path. Okay, what is this path? It is the path. First is host path. Okay, host path, you can say host underscore path, you can say, and hyphen, and then you need to give the containers path, you can say. Okay, containers path, container path, container underscore path. Okay, so you can say like that. Okay, so what is our host path? What do you mean by host path? Host path is the path where you want to store your MongoDB's whatever data is there, no, what is there inside your collection, that data where you want to store on your local system. Okay, now in my case, I want to store it on my desktop, so I will create a folder. Okay, I will create a folder. Okay, so I will create um, data or my data, anything my data you keep. Okay, so my data, you will create a folder, and then what will happen is you want to give this folder's path. Okay, so in my case, the path will be, what will be my path? I will just create a this. Okay, and I want to check. Okay, it is on my desktop, cd desktop. Okay, then I want to change the directory to my data. Okay, so this is the path. Okay, I just need to copy this. I'll copy this, come to my compose file, and I'll paste it here. Okay, this is my path. Okay, C users Amit Kumar slash this. Okay, this is my path, and then I need to give my MongoDB's path, right? So MongoDB, no, by default it has like it tells you where you need to store it. Okay, where it was, somewhere it tells you. Let's see it. Yes. So this is where, look, they are also telling you about with regards to this only, uh, your containers. Okay, so this is your own directory where you want to store, and for MongoDB this is your path. Okay, so you will just copy slash data slash db and you will paste it here. Okay, so once you paste it over here, oh, I guess you need to just make this slashes in the other side. Okay, so once you do this, what will happen is next time when you even put a container down and you restart it, your data will stay persistent. Okay, let's try that. Okay, for now what we'll do is we'll have to run this container again first. I mean, in the sense, we'll have to put this container what is currently there, we'll have to put it down, and then we'll have to restart it. Okay, because we want our compose.yaml file to be re-executed now, because we have made some changes in the file. All right, so we'll do that. Okay, so we'll put it up again. So again, it has been created, you will see. Once that has been done, what we can do is we can go back to our browser and we can reload. Okay, why it's not working? Wait, there's some error. No error. Why is it not opening? Huh. It was not an error. It was just that this container has somehow stopped. I don't know how. Okay, so there was no error as such. Okay, so we'll create a DB again, just like how we had done earlier. So we created intern spirit DB. Then we'll create a collection called users, and then okay, we have created this. We'll go back to our home page and we'll insert a user, and then we'll create. Okay, so now if we come over here and reload, this is there. Okay, now what we'll do, we need to check now whether the data is staying persistent. So for that, we'll put down our container. Okay, we'll put it down. Okay, it stopped all the containers and then it removed it. Okay, now if we come back to our Docker desktop, it's not there. Huh? Then we'll restart it. Okay, Docker compose up. All right, so it has created and it has started, everything is working. Okay, if we come over here, all the services are running. Okay, so now if I just close this and I close this also and I check again. Okay, localhost 8081. Okay, that it load again, it has shut or something. 8081. Okay, so over here, you see, even after putting it down, the intern spirit DB is there. Now we'll check if the collection exists. Yes, the collection exists, users. We'll check if the document exists or not. Yeah, the user still exists over there. Okay, with the same. All right. So this is how we use volumes. Okay. So now you have understood how we write our compose file, Docker compose file. Okay. You have also understood how we use volumes and various services. Okay. Um, you have basically understood how to develop with Docker. Okay, you can use various services and develop. Okay, this is very handy when you are not sure of what services to choose and you want to try out. Okay, so mostly this is done in companies. This is done in companies. So then I will also show you in the next lecture how to Dockerize your own application. Actually, I was supposed to keep this as a live session, but then since we don't have a live session this week, I'll put a recorded lecture. And during the live session, what we can do is we'll build a CI/CD pipeline. Okay, we'll make a CI/CD pipeline, and for next week's lectures, I'll teach you system designs concepts. Okay, with that, this is the end of this tutorial, and let me know, okay, in the WhatsApp group if you have any doubts. Okay, I'll clear them. Thank you.